Welcome back to another week of Cantina Chronicles. Here we are again. This is the old group at the bar. Adam was a little tardy to the bar.
You said that name so assuredly.
I was gonna say some of us have been at the bar a little longer than others. Yeah, all due to me. You were there on time.
I was very much on time.
Yeah. We may or may not have talked about Ahsoka for 7
So Adam's coming in super cold, but that's fine. Pretty excited.
It'll be great.
Still coming off. Had a great episode last week with Meg Dowell. That was super fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun
with her. So she gave me a lot to think about this week, where we're just going to talk about random thoughts leading up to the Ahsoka series next week. Last plans and things like that.
Yeah.
Guys, I ran into someone, and I don't have it here as I never rep anyone I see on Reddit, which is probably bad form, but they made...
Wait, repping someone on Reddit is not repping someone on Reddit?
Come on, the person actually made a worthwhile post that people like, so I'm like, I just feel like credit where credit's due, the artists out there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear this.
Yeah, I don't have it. So the important thing is that they made. Yeah, you know who you are.
You know who you are.
I couldn't find it on Reddit. I was just looking for it, trying to dig it back up. But someone made on a sheet of paper. It had blue lines on it, like a notebook paper. They made Ahsoka bingo for what was coming up. And when you went through it, it was pretty accurate, actually. Really, really good stuff. So I was wondering, what is on your Ahsoka bingo card?
Oh, interesting.
Things that we might see. I feel like that's a good place to start because we're going to be talking about Clone Wars, Rebels, obviously, Tales of the Jedi. There's some stuff in the Ahsoka novel, but I don't know that much is going to direct towards here because it was kind of early in her jettisoning from the Jedi Order. But that would be nice if there was a nod to that novel.
Yeah.
And then I guess the Mandalorian. But another thing I've been mentioning, and this is just a rumor, but this is absolutely 100% going to happen in my mind, is that the first half of the season is random different times. And then there's a time jump for the last 4 episodes, which will kind of push you further past, I think, that last scene in Rebels. I love that.
That's what I heard so much too. Yeah. Now not to automatically get us off the track, but I want to build on, I want to build a question on that. So that is my headcanon as well, right? We're going to have 4 before, 4 after, right? It's kind of the way I keep seeing it. Now we know there's going to be the villains plot, right? There's going to be the Thrawn plot and the 2 Dark Jedi plot. Do you think we're going to get parallel storytelling with those characters in the before times and the after times? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you think we're going to get multiple time jumps with those characters?
Yeah, it's interesting. You see Ahsoka confront an Inquisitor, and I'm thinking, is that after the fall of the Empire, or is that during the reign of the Empire? That must be during the time of the original trilogy.
I'm guessing it's Rebels. Yeah, Rebels.
I can't imagine there are many Inquisitors at the after. But,
it's got to be my headcanon. There better not be any Inquisitors left. After Vader falls, there better not be any Inquisitors
we'll get some setup.
Yeah.
Get some backstory.
I think that might happen. It would be how wild if there's still a rogue Inquisitor after the Emperor's dead.
Cool. That's very Rogue Samurai. I love that.
Yeah.
That's sort of like Ronin.
That'd be wild, but yeah, it makes more sense for it to be in real time.
So definitely, they'll definitely meet, I think. We'll definitely get a sort of backstory with Ahsoka and what's going on there.
Yeah, and do you think we'll get Thrawn stuff in the first half, or do you think it's going to be all back half?
I think it's going to be... It would make sense for them, right, to tease it in the front half for their connection in the second half, because you would have to have watched Mandalorian to understand they even were connected at all. And that woman from that Mandalorian episode is also in the series I see now. I've seen some headshots.
Lady Elsbeth
that's
or something, I think her name was.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It looks like they're searching for Thrawn still, and it sounds like from the log lines and synopsis I've read about the show that Ahsoka discovers a threat to the New Republic in the show or something, and this this newfound threat. And like, could Thrawn be building that fleet we've talked about, like from Dark Force Rising, like the sort of adapting that material? Like, is Thrawn out there? Has he kind of been, is he such a mastermind that he's now using his death as a sort of like, a pivot point to now do all these other sort of like tactical maneuvering, in the galaxy. So stuff like that.
Interesting.
I mean, no, but just like, I think, and then at the same time, for me on my bingo sheet, it's got to be Ahsoka, Anakin stuff. Like, now that they've done a trailer, at this point, I'm like,
let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that
something going on here where that master and apprentice relationship sort of, like, it has more to do than just, end short in the Clone Wars and then be this tragic thing during the time of the Empire, and can it evolve to something after Vader's gone? You know what I mean? Like, there'll be some sort of connection there, and can there be redemption really in their relationship? I think in general, but that stuff's interesting to me. I would love if we're going into the nether realm of the Force, if we're doing this world between worlds, I've seen imagery that sort of evokes that. There's great Legends material about what happens to dark side Force users after they perish and that sort of stuff. And we've seen it as a Force ghost in Return of the Jedi. I mean, like, I just hope their bond has something, more to do.
Yeah.
Maybe find the threat together after he's gone, or after, they're separated.
I mean, we were talking before we started recording, but we were talking about sort of like iconic, I don't know. My mind immediately sprung to like having live action Hayden as like an episode 3, Anakin, and then live action Rosario on the same like stage. I think that would be really powerful and fun to like see them together.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, all right. So Grant, you already hit 2 of the squares on my bingo card, but let's hit the Anakin one first. Anakin and World Between Worlds. So the Anakin thing is like, so Ben, I know you kind of like try to not.
I've seen them
watch
all
too
now.
many of the trailers.
I've seen them all.
So the newest one is newly recorded lines by
but
Hayden
it's
Christensen.
the dialogue from Tales of the Jedi. Matt Lanter's
exactly. But they had, but it's him.
No doubt.
It's Hayden, and I think And there's been a lot of like behind the scenes kind of talk about Hayden like repped on Obi-Wan. He was there. He was good. He seemed to fit in really well. He seemed to really enjoy doing it. And there were some rumors that he was kind of doing some more stuff. And so I don't know if maybe he was recording this extra dialogue, but like he's down to do it. Yeah. The fans want him to do it. I part of me would be shocked. Similar to like, remember when we were watching Obi-Wan? I'm like, well, we know we're going to get Liam Neeson. We just didn't know we were going to get Liam Neeson in the last 3 seconds of the whole thing. But we knew it was coming, right? Like, to me, it'd be wild if we got through the entire Ahsoka series without a live-action Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll put that close.
But do you think it's a flashback, or do you think it's a world between worlds? Let's go talk to Hayden, almost like the Avengers, like Endgame.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, flashback's the easy one to go, but if we are doing, like, if the first 4 episodes are during Rebels or around the Rebels period, because it'd be weird to have Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka when Ahsoka was
a different
a Padawan. It'd have to be a different actor, or they'd have to really de-age her. It'd be weird.
But like,
which they could de-age.
But I mean, like,
they do that stuff all the time.
7. Yeah, you're right. No, because she went through like a metamorphosis, right?
She looks so different when she pops up in Rebels. Like, she looks like a full-on adult because she is.
That's a good point.
I think it's actually.
So you're right. It couldn't happen.
I almost think it's a smart move for a visual effects studio to sort of try to blend the animation character with the live action interpretation and sort of like give us a de-aged version and sort of like try to create that blend. I think that would help us as viewers in a lot of ways. And so I think for a VFX department, I think it's actually important to do more of that blending, where it's like, hey, maybe this is the instance in which we can kind of blend what she looks like in animation and use Rosario's likeness and sort of, make a younger version of the character. And I think that's actually a smart move for
I just had a frequent occurrence for me,
yeah.
which is when I listened to one of you say a point, and I'm like, I totally agree with that. And then I listened to another one of you say a point, and that's like entirely different. And I'm like, that's absolutely correct. Also,
yeah.
No, I mean, I do that all the time. I'll say something, and then one of you will say something opposite. Yeah. I'm like, I was wrong. You were right.
You do.
Get a tape on the floor.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Grant. Totally. I think that totally could work. I think all of those things are possible. I think Force Ghost Anakin is very, very possible, if not probable, at some point. I mean, especially now. Like, one thing we didn't talk about when we were going through the series of books is that, like, the rules around Force Ghosts, which sounds like a weird sentence, have changed significantly between old EU and new EU. Because old EU, it was they could only do it for a limited amount of time, and then they were gone. Yeah. Right? Like we get Obi-Wan's last visit to Luke, like 6 years post whatever. Then in The Last Jedi, we get Yoda popping up. Right? So the new EU rules is like Force Ghosts can come and go however they please, whenever they please. I think
and Anakin's perfect for Ahsoka, right? It's like perfect.
Yeah. And like, so you could do that. World Between Worlds, though, it's hard not to have like Dave Filoni.
I mean, I think we've already seen
and
it.
That's
going to
look visually amazing,
unless they're messing with.
Yeah, it seems to be hinted at heavily.
So yes, maybe seeing all that like the ethereal World Between Worlds sort of like imagery in the trailer is alluding to the fact that we're going to get a lot of Force Ghost hating Christensen.
Yeah, could be
Force Ghost Anakin. After the
I would push back on the word a lot. I would say a scene, but but we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
What about a disembodied voice? For...
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think if you make that all of the different rules, like we're gonna get one of those.
Yeah.
Like...
What if it parallels Luke's journey with Force Ghosts? Right. So what if it parallels like she first hears his voice, like Luke does with Obi-Wan, and then eventually gets to the point where he can materialize in front of her.
Right. I love. Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the original trilogy.
I think if we're gonna do a little jump back in time, I want to know like what happens post World Between Worlds, because she's like she just ditches Ezra and then she's there. So it's like we don't know. Yep. There's a massive loss of time there, like the entire rebellion where she's gone. So what's she doing? And like maybe I think that's what the first 4 episodes are going to be, is we're going to figure out what she was doing during the rebellion.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good call. That's unexplored time in her arc, right? Like we know she was she comes back on Malachor, right? And then nothing until she pops up at Rebels.
Right.
Like it
and we don't know
up,
when
like, right?
she came out at Malachor. I mean, I guess it was the same time, and we don't know what she did before she came out at Malachor. Like
we do now in timelines, and as I remember it in timelines, she pops up immediately. So you guys keep talking for a second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna roll backwards and grab.
But the weird
timeline.
thing was like, didn't Ezra go to Malachor?
They all.
Yes, they all.
Right. So
did.
She's like, quick, get through the tunnel, and then she waited 5 minutes, and then she went through.
Yeah, it's unclear. Hold on, you guys.
Are you gonna look this up? Okay.
But then she gets saved and comes back and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then she's at the end of Rebels. She's there in the fight.
So Grant, what do you think she's doing in the when the rebellion's happening?
That's a really tough question.
Because it's like we got nothing to go on, but she's not fighting in the rebellion. I think, unless maybe she was in the Ghost and like she was there the whole time. They just didn't tell the story, but they didn't show her in any of the like epilogue montages that were put together at the end of Rebels. Well, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I don't want to create dead air, but it's like I feel like it'd be fun if she did something pivotal in the war. Yeah. Like I imagine she'd want to help the rebellion.
Right?
Yeah. So,
I mean, I imagine she would too. So it would have to be something that drew her away, right? So she can't do that.
Either that, or it's something she finds the location of something, and we learn that she was with the Bothan spies when they found the Death Star 2 plans.
Right. All right. So I've got a list of Ahsoka things to watch that are like where she's popped up and all this stuff. This is Stay in the Fight 2019 on Star Wars Cantina, my new favorite Star Wars subreddit. But it's like life and death in Tales of Jedi, right? And then Storm over Ryloth, Holocron Heist. She's all over Clone Wars, but he picked like 15 of those. Yeah. Tales of the Jedi. He just picked the last 2. Because I guess the first one is sort of just her as a kid getting,
her as a baby
Ahsoka. But I mean, is that essential?
What about Rex? Is he going on the bingo sheet?
Yes, Rex is def on the bingo sheet.
Rex is like Rex dead center the gimme square. All right, I have an answer.
That's what we were pattering. No one noticed.
You're vamping. All right, so she is so she's pulled out mid-fight with Vader, right? Here's what the timeline says. This all happens 3 BBY. This all happens within like 5 minutes. She's pulled out. Vader leaves. She returns to Malachor, and the next thing that happens is Ezra opens the Sith holocron. Remember, in his timeline, he leaves Malachor and opens the Sith holocron.
Right.
Like that's the next thing that happens in that series.
Wait, really? The Sith holocron.
So he.
That's done. That's already happened.
He gets the Sith. No, because he gets it from Malachor. Right. So this is all like. So Ahsoka returns to the timeline after Vader leaves Malachor, but before Ezra opens the Sith holocron. So she's only gone in her timeline for like 5 minutes.
To me, that's wild. I mean, technically, a lot can happen, right? If that's an open doorway to that one moment, then she can go live a lifetime and then come back.
Right. And she goes back through a different door than he does, because who knows, time travel's all weird. But that opens your idea, right? Because then she has that whole time period to live until she comes back, until she comes back in as Ghost, or not as Ghost, as Fulcrum.
Oh, right. So she's okay. Wild. All right.
Timey-wimey.
Yeah. As soon as you put like time travel into Star Wars, like my mind just like cracks like an egg. But
maybe she destroyed the Inquisitorius for good or something. Maybe that was her contribution to the war effort. Because we destroyed it once as gamers in Fallen Order,
right? But it came back.
Clearly came back in a big way.
What if she saves the Inquisitorius, like whatever's remained, converts them all to the light?
Yeah, that's actually perfect for her.
I love this idea, right? Because we need a capper. Like
turns everyone basically. She's like turns them all away from the dark side. That would be great.
That's Filoni's creation, right? Are the Inquisitors, right? And so that would be a good of like, how do we end that story?
Yeah, that's like great.
And maybe I love that grant. It's just like, it's Ahsoka, because who else would it be? Like, you want your one.
Well, yeah.
Her whole motto is about helping people. They are in need. It's like,
it fits her character. If you like, I think the most important, like Ahsoka story is the Mortis arc from Clone Wars. I mean, serious stuff happens there. The daughter is like wounded and is like gonna die, but she puts her life force into Ahsoka to bring Ahsoka back from the dead, and then the daughter's convor follows around out of there. So it's like. That's a heavy light force user, if not God, right? That's bestowing all her power into Ahsoka. And it seems like, and now her bird recognizes her and follows her around. She could have a giant, momentous effect on the force and is called to force stuff instead of these petty battles of, various.
Well, very beings. Gandalf-like in that thing, right? Like just called to the greater story, right? Yep. Like knowing what's actually important, not the wars, not all this, but destroying the ring. That's the only thing that matters, right? Like, and so like at the end of the day, I wonder if the Mortis stuff's going to come into play, because that's the one thing that I'm always just like, I've watched that arc 5 times. Because I'm like, I know this is important, and to be honest, I kind of glaze over with it a little bit. It's a little like, I get it. I'm trying to get it. Like, I know that's key, but I'm like, brain shuts down.
It's not very literal.
No.
Yeah. It's all symbolic.
So it's all very symbolic, which I appreciate.
Anakin sees his future,
and then it comes back around.
He's given a forgetfulness spell, and he forgets it.
I know.
It's like torture.
I know. It's such a great literary. Anyway, so but then it kind of leave it alone. But then it comes back around again in Rebels, which I always forget. Right, like it gets a little bit retold when Ezra is not Ezra when Sabine is talking with the Imperial archaeologist.
that gentleman. He was fun.
Right. Yeah.
That guy is super creep. I love him. But like that comes back around. So like this is clearly something that Filoni wants to keep revisiting, right? Like he's not. I don't think he feels like he's done with this story, whatever the story is.
Doesn't Malcolm McDowell like voice that character or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. That's Malcolm McDowell. Yeah. Or sound alike. It definitely every time I'm watching it, I'm like, is that Alex from A Clockwork Orange? Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm interested in all that stuff. Rex though, we have to see Rex in this.
That'd be great. I mean,
I don't see him, but like she has to mention Rex or something. So, like,
I think we're gonna see him.
We'll see him.
Didn't Tamora Morrison like? He's not really good at keeping secrets. I mean, good at a lot of things.
But I mean, like you have him. He's already played an aged clone in Obi-Wan. Like he's down to clown, just like, just like.
I think Rex is on the card for sure. I'm gonna put it's like you get the likely ones around the center, but the weird ones go out towards the edges of the bingo card. I'm gonna throw Purgles on there. I think we're gonna see Purgles.
Okay. Well, I think you do see Purgles in the trailer though, so. It's like automatic.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing them. But okay.
Because I was actually going to push back against that. Like,
I think you see Purgles in the trailer.
All right. Because I know we saw him in season 3 of Mando. But part of me just wonders, and we talked about this a bit last week with Veg. I feel like we don't get a clear Thrawn's return story in this series. I think he's just back.
I kind of want to know what happened.
Well, why? Because of the handling of the sequel trilogy and the Emperor?
No, I feel like that is like fertile. Like, because I also feel like it's a long game. They want to because I don't think we're going to lose. I don't think Thrawn's done after this 8 episodes. I feel like he's going to be around for a while, and I feel like they're going to want to slow play all of his backstory.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to see what happened to Ezra and Thrawn after the Purgles.
Me too.
Like jump them out. I think that's got to be one of the major purposes. How can you move on from then they're just suddenly in the unknown regions? Like I feel like you have to tell that story.
That's also the most interesting part of that story. They end up
where?
Yeah. And then this mysterious new place.
They could end up in a different galaxy, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere really.
Yeah, I fully believe we're gonna have to wait till I don't know whenever the writer strike gets done and then they're able to go back to production. So I'm guessing like 2028. We'll get our answers in 2028. But I honestly like, can you do a negative thing in a bingo sheet? Like my bingo sheet, like top right center is less than 2 minutes of Ezra Bridger in this entire series.
I mean, it's just more precise. It's a more precise guess.
That's why it's way top. Like
I entirely agree with you though. I don't know I think like he is the white whale. Like they're trying to find him.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If they find him, I don't think they're going to find him in the first, well, if there's a time jump, then you're definitely not going to see him in the first 4 episodes. So it's like, are you going to see him in the 6th and then he's going to be fighting alongside you for 2 episodes? I don't know.
Maybe. And I think it's like last scene.
Yeah. It's like they find him attached to a giant HR Giger like machine.
Yep. Yeah.
So many tubes. Just
There's
like
so many
nothing
tubes
left of him but tubes in his face. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like water dripping inside of a space station, which doesn't seem like a good idea, but for some reason it is. It's very
humid.
wet.
I love Adam's.
A lot of people don't know that.
I love Adam's because I can see it. I see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could use Ezra if if they really go the cloning route and they really do adapt some of Heir to the Empire. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Ezra is the primary Jedi clone that's kind of like in the background, and these other 2 are maybe clones as well or something. And
I like that.
Thrawn is utilizing all these Jedi secretly or something.
That's great. That's brilliant. Is that their analogous way of doing Seaboth, right? Instead of doing
Right.
Oh my
that.
gosh.
Is
That's
it
actually very
is it
parallel.
Ezra, right? Like, is it or is it Ezra? I don't know I don't know where the extra vowel goes.
So wait,
Yeah,
I mean,
Ezra.
oh god, that makes so much sense because of Outbound Flight. It was like, oh, you got like sent extra galactic and you came back a clone. Like that would be a perfect parallel to what happened in Heir to the Empire.
Which, if it's a perfect parallel, that also means that Ezra actually is dead, right? Like Ezra died out there.
Oh,
yeah.
that would,
which
I mean, that would be quite
but...
a beat, though, right? It's like, oh, we found him, and it's a clone.
Yeah.
Like
or maybe Thrawn's
clone.
indebted to Ezra because Ezra saved Thrawn's life or something, and Thrawn kept him alive because Thrawn has like a little bit of honor.
Well, that's fascinating too. You could actually. So here's the thing: like, if you're following Thrawn in new canon in a weird way, and you're going to like, if you're using a lot of Zahn's literature, he's a protagonist, as we talked about in all 6 of those books. We could go the Terminator 2 route of this, or like what we love to do in modern, which is like to give a villain a redemption arc, right? So like maybe that's actually what we get is we're expecting Thrawn as a villain, and we get Thrawn as a villain for the 4 really like come around. Nice. He's actually come around because of spending so much time with the Jedi, right? Like who knows? Like maybe we have a redemptive Thrawn.
That would be wild. That's the wildest
but...
take I've had. Yeah, I mean because like we know in Mandoverse he's supposed to be one of the main guys, right? The main Grand admirals that are keeping this thing alive. But it'd be wild if like Paleon's like, no, everything's fine, everything's great, but it's like secretly he's lying.
He's just been lying, right? Like he's just been like, which is what everyone's implying in Mando season 3, right? That like, yes, show us Thrawn, and maybe Thrawn comes back going, like, I love
like, that take so
wrong.
Much. I love it.
I'm still thinking Thrawn has to be like this
never gonna happen,
massive arch villain, like this like incredible arch villain that like the Star Wars so desperately needs to sort of like sort of be more active on the battlefield, be more active in the drama between the characters, be more active in the story between everyone. Sort of a real arch villain like Vader was back in the original trilogy, where you really feel like he permeates like throughout every scene, or he's just hanging over everything.
Dread, right? Like you want to feel dread when Thrawn walks into a scene, as opposed to other bad guys where you're just like, oh, that guy seems petulant.
That's the way I was. I mean, reading the original Thrawn series, I was like, every time, like it was way different feeling than reading the other the canon Thrawn books. It's like you're like, oh, dude, this guy's just kicking butt and taking names, like, and like that's it. And I'm like, you guys, like, and whenever a couple of times Thrawn was wrong. And a couple of times the, rebellion was able to outthink him and find a blind spot in his thing. But like when they did that, it felt huge because you're like, no, Thrawn's never wrong. Like you're constantly like, no, dude. Yeah. It didn't break down his character at all. It was just like there are going to be blind spots, and sometimes you find them, but most of the time Thrawn's there waiting for you.
Yeah, which is not emulated in Rebels. At all, I don't think. Thrawn takes, because again, it's a cartoon and I get it. You're telling it, right? Like, your heroes have to win for the most part, but he takes L's constantly in that series.
But the way they twist it, or Filoni twisted it, is like, that's all part of his plan. And it's like kind of works.
Yeah, until he loses. It kind of works, and then he still loses big time.
I mean,
right?
He took a bite out of the rebellion, but he didn't accomplish his mission, because of a Bendu.
No, I mean, you could.
He always loses
because of a Bendu,
something too in the books. It doesn't seem like he ever wins. So really,
if he's in this a lot, I want it to be the reverse. I want them to be the rebellion and the New Republic to be on their back foot the entirety of it, right? And just because of Ahsoka's thinking, outsmarts him at the end, right? Like you just need that of just like the Force wins out, right? It's the Force. You can strategize all you want. Right, you can play the chess game all you want, but when you have the Force behind you, you're gonna win.
Yeah, I think that's that's the message of Star Wars, or at least what it was back in Legends. It's just like, nope, the Force will tip the scales.
Yeah, the Force wills. Yeah,
it's interesting. I feel like I'm gonna stand by my theory that Thrawn gets the whole new sort of like rounded design scheme for the First Order stuff.
I love
like
that.
that is like
I
my
love that
favorite
idea.
theory. Like,
yeah,
and almost like I don't care if it's like almost like a comedic beat where he like looks at the old helmet and looks at the new helmet, and you see them together for like a hot second. Like if it's even played out like that, I would love that beat.
if
like, I would
that gives
so
us if that gives us his scene of art history,
yeah, it's like
perfect, right? Like he's
in one
you
explaining
never see him make
art and
you
how
never see him
design.
make art, right? He's always judging art, but it's like it would be nice if he was like behind that design. That'd be great.
Here's the scene. You just do the exact scene from the documentary of
Lucas
going no, but it's Thrawn. It's Thrawn going no, yes, no.
And they're like, okay, that would be my heart.
Just like shot for shot.
If that happens, Grant, you just win bingo. I think because I think it's a long shot, but I want it.
Win.
Yeah. So another long shot bingo card I have, which is similar to what Grant's saying, which is like, is Ezra the clone? Is Ezra like the prototype or the blueprint for the clones? Is my long shot again? Another corner is we get clones. Like we get a new clone
that's a
army
broader one, but I think clones period.
Yeah, like actually like trying to use them, not to the point where like we got the very end of Mando season 3 where we see them in tubes, but they're like out and they are being used, right? Because I love that scene in the books where they're just like, the New Republic feels good and they got all the strength because they have the numbers, and suddenly they don't, because they can churn out clones in months as opposed to years. Yeah,
I love that. That would be fun.
Okay. A clone army.
The beginnings of one, at least, where we get the scene where we get 2 stormtroopers that they pull off the helmet and they realize they're clones, similar to what we get in the books, right? Like that we know that Thrawn has implemented this plan and that they are cloning again.
I liked that they had mixed. It was like, every once in a while you'd run into a like squadron of clone troopers and they'd be like, oh god, and they were like much better, more than the other stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I have one more thing on the bingo sheet that's going to get you guys really excited.
Let's go.
Do it.
Does Thrawn interact with or check in on the Necromancer program?
Oh, interesting.
So this is, you're referring to Project Necromancer that was...
Yes.
Was that the one that was on place?
Hux's. That's Brendel Hux's.
Oh, so like, do you think that's on Exegol or on Tantus, as in the Bad Batch?
I mean, I'm just wondering if Thrawn and Project Necromancer and that sort of thread continues in a major way.
Yeah. I mean, we get that. That's such a great line.
Mando,
in
yeah.
Mando.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, just that
scene is
okay.
amazing.
So Mando season 3, I will admit, is somewhat hit or miss for me, but like the hits are like all-time hits. Yeah. So I'm like, I love it. And like that boardroom scene with the Imperials, I'll just watch it again.
Brendel Hux is great too. He's got like
he's so good
accent or something. It's awesome.
Which I know we talked about it at the time, but the fact that they cast yeah, but the fact that they cast Donald Gleason's brother, is amazing. It's the best casting ever.
That must be Irish accent then.
It's so good. It's so good. And I just feel like, I love this idea of like, give us a little more of a Project Necromancer, which would be very Thrawn, right? Because in Rebels and in the books, we get him like debating the TIE Advanced. Was it TIE Advanced or TIE Advanced?
TIE Defenders. TIE
Defenders? TIE Defenders.
He's the TIE Defender.
You're right. TIE Defenders against
TIE Advanced is Vader.
Guy against the Death Star, right? So he might be going, show me Project Necromancer where you're trying to bring back. Right. I mean, we assume. Yeah. And show me clones. Like, which one?
Right.
Show me clones. Sorry, I was just doing
anyway,
moving
on.
Clones.
I would love a kind of running theme that like the Empire is now this like abomination. So like Thrawn is kind of disgusted with what's happening now. Like I would love that.
Well, he just comes back and cleans up, right? Cleans up ranks, like he kind of does in the book a little bit, right? Like just like I hope like Rook or someone else like Rook survives. And we get to see where he just sicks them on people, like just like when they're all
Rook
standing,
would
like,
be a good square.
Points at him. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one I want to bring up after this some more theorizing here. Another theory I have is like I would almost love this like fatalist side to Thrawn, where he's like, now that the Empire is like trying to resurrect the dead and like making these like clones and trying to clone Luke Skywalker and Snoke, and I'm just adding that.
No.
But
Snoke would be a big
square.
square.
It's another distant square.
Now there's all these like this really dark cloning operation titled Project Necromancer, and probably the reviving of the Emperor, and you know, there's still he's still operating in the shadows, or his contingency plan is still in effect and causing all this, you know, really, you know, horrific violence in the ranks in the Empire. They're sort of like killing the weak, and sort of there's a lot of like survival of the fittest happening, and it's just really dark if you read the books.
Aftermath,
but
it's dark.
That's all happening. So Thrawn might just be like, wow, this is a really dark turn for the Empire, right? And so I would almost love this kind of fatalist side to Thrawn, where he's like, I'm going to help them build up their forces until this galaxy just like destroys itself, because I always felt like he was extra galactic. Like he didn't need this galaxy. Like I almost thought like, let's let this galaxy burn. You know what I mean? Like, and I wish like, I've never seen a character be like almost talk about a galaxy as if it's like, you know, some sort of system he wants to bring down, or talk about, you know.
Is it the Chiss are part of the same galaxy, right?
I think they're outside.
It's unknown regions, but
no,
like, I think it's unknown regions of the
unknown
same
regions,
galaxy.
but they're not extragalactic.
Right.
They're still within our thing.
Oh, they're inside.
Technically, I think they're just like
they are, but they're extra or not. They're unknown.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's like the Tingle arm, but
I have cracked. Meanwhile, I've cracked Snoke.
All right,
I've done it.
I'll go for it. Let's hear.
I've done it. So he talked about him being a byproduct of two characters,
Luke
right?
and the
Emperor, perhaps. However, I just realized Snoke ends with K-E, right? Which is
my
the end of
gosh.
Luke's name.
Yes.
So what starts with S-N-O? Can you think of a Star Wars character? Last name starts with S-N-O.
last name?
Yeah. Snoodles. So it's a clone combination of Sny, Snoodles, and Luke.
Well, all right.
Done it.
Oh wow.
Mystery solved
you
after
used
nearly a
math.
decade.
Or it's just like
Yeah.
or
Sorry.
it's some sort of biblical metaphor, and it's some, or you know,
No, I feel bad.
text, like a snake thing, you know, snake.
Yeah,
and Luke,
snake
you know,
Luke.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No,
to me that just makes sense. But whatever.
Yes, Grant, that is the actual like my literal minded.
Yeah.
But I was like, but I'm sorry, I feel bad.
Yeah.
But continue. So that's why I go size, half
logic,
size.
but I
Well, that's
like
our
logic
show,
too,
everybody.
though.
Thanks so much.
And half
Brighter, it's happier, it's vibing.
I am.
No,
ashamed
it
of
was. I
myself.
love
Anyway,
that. That's good times.
So you watched The Expanse, right?
I also watched The
I heard
Expanse.
there's
and I read the books.
actor from The Expanse who's in Ahsoka, who is said to be Thrawn's right hand man. It's like in the the trades and stuff. Right hand man. That's all the description.
Do you have the actor's name? Wes Mantooth. Yes.
Wes Chatham, I think it was.
Oh, no.
Could that be our Eli Vanto?
Adam.
Wait, no, that guy is the best. That guy plays
Oh yeah.
Well, I can't think of his name. He plays my favorite. He plays Otis. No, this
anyway.
is bad.
Huh.
Ben and I were talking before the pod, and we were thinking.
I know this dude.
Could this be Eli
Amos?
Vanto?
He looks more
talking
like
about?
Cal Kestis than Monahan.
But he's
a beefy dude.
Yeah, he's a beefy dude. His character in the
Amos.
Expanse,
Oh
Amos
yeah, he's the heavy.
Is like my favorite. He's my favorite. He's the heavy who is like a psychopath who is super loyal. And he's like my favorite character because he'll just be like, he's a dog. They basically made a dog where he just will like bond with a person and be like, I'll kill people for you. And they're like, no, he's like, no,
he's a standard poodle.
Guy. Like, but he's super like, you love him.
Maybe? Like what are we
kind of like, I wonder if they could put him
would
in
be
makeup,
a good
maybe
Rook.
make him.
But he'd be tall. It's weird because
He
like
would be.
like I always pictured like the Nogri is like average human size, maybe like 6 feet, little just under, something like that. And then, but like in the story, every once in a while they're in like Jawa costumes, and they seem like small.
So
and I'm like, are they really 4 feet tall? Because like it definitely wasn't in Rebels. You know, like Rebels he seemed like pretty average height for American.
Yeah. In old EU, they are between 1.5 and 1.7 meters, so that's relatively short.
Yeah, that's like
four and a half, 5 feet. So that wouldn't work for that guy. That guy is a bit stocky, but he's big.
He's big, yeah.
But they could just, again, Filoni's shown that he doesn't, like, you can mess around with canon a little bit, right? Like, if it, because that would look more intimidating. Because I'm sorry, like, the way Rook looks in Rebels never really instilled me with fear.
Right, but his actions speak louder.
I mean, maybe not in Rebels, but yeah,
you can't kill him. He's like the Terminator,
but in the books.
Then and he has a million ways to kill you. He's tough. He's got a cloaking device.
Yeah.
Well, if you
that's right.
I think, but in live action, I think there's the cinematic potential to make it like just truly kind of like terrifying, almost like he just appears out of the shadows. It's almost like jump scary. Like I don't know.
I loved those.
Yeah, you could do something really fun with
that. Was a really funny beat in the in the whole Thrawn series. It's like every time Pelion went into Thrawn's office, it was just like he knew the first thing that would happen is like Rook would bust out of the darkness and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he would just be like, "Oh," and he was always looking for him, and he could never find him. It was
just they did it.
They must have done it at least 7 times. Like in 3 books, and like I don't know. I love repeat gags.
I'm wondering if they're gonna kind of like do parallel storytelling, and instead of being the Nogri, it's another alien that he met in the unknown regions when he was out there that he brought back with him.
But they've
right?
already
so like
established the Nogri in Rebels.
They have, but it might be a different. It might be a different species. What's the grist? What if it's like? What if he has the Grisk or some other like alien species?
That's actually a really good point, Adam. I think like wherever Ezra and Thrawn end up, what would be fun if you get to see sort of like the two of them interact with other life forms, like a new culture or something like that. But like they both have their own sort of abilities in terms of like charming or relating to new cultures or new creatures or new people. New life forms. Ezra uses the Force to connect.
I was gonna say all the animal life,
living things, and then Thrawn sort of understands their culture and can probably adapt the language and the gesticulations and how they relate. And I think just seeing those two approaches to them, maybe trying to get buy-in, like they're both trying to get buy. I don't know. Actually, maybe they're just working together at that point. I don't know, but like maybe getting buy-in of the culture together using their diplomatic skills, both of them, like they both have those sort of like interpersonal relations.
This is my long shot like hope now that you've said this, is that like first episode is sort of like leading up to and like, or it's Ahsoka and then it whatever, and then we actually get Thrawn and Ezra shoved off into the unknown regions, and then we get like one episode that's a buddy cop of Thrawn and Ezra. But, I mean, because I really want a series now that you've said that, because like I could watch that all day and all night. But like even if like I that's not gonna happen. But like if I could get one episode of those two together,
I feel like you are going to get that, Ben. I think you're going to get that. I think it's going to be like Book of Boba Fett and Grogu. It's sort of like some sort of sort of a structure where it's just like boom, like here is the Thrawn and Ezra. This is where they've been. This is what is how they've changed, how their motivations have changed, and then also what's sort of on their mind now.
I mean, they can't be on Ahsoka
like to do that
all the time in every series, right? They have to jump cut between like several storylines, right? So that could be one of them.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of singular adventures though in the series. I think I read that somewhere where there are just fun. Sort of samurai.
I like Ben's thought of like maybe the first 4 kind of standalone-y. Here's where our characters are. Here's some standalone, and then the last 4 is very serialized. Here's what we get. But I love this idea of like maybe episode 1 ends with like it is mostly tracking Ahsoka at what was happening during all of this, and then you just kind of at the end flash to like Thrawn and Ezra coming back into real space, and Ezra going, "Where
roll
are
credits,
we?" Roll credits,
and then you're like, "Oh,
right," and then episode 2.
I can't believe we get another
It'd be fun.
series, guys. Like our cup floweth over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and we should. And I am such a pessimist. I'm like, let's enjoy it.
Should really be grateful because
we got a couple, and then it's going to be a long break.
There's lots of shows we get, and then and then I don't know if you guys saw them slate. I think then some stuff's been
Skeleton Crew is taken off.
Disney's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that because they know it's going to be years before we get new content, so they are going to slow drip this stuff because they also can't. They can't get the actors out to promote it, so I'm not surprised that they're pulling all this stuff out.
I always thought Skeleton Crew was going to be like a 5-year plan when the first time we saw it. I mean, they just there's too much stuff in front of it in line, and it's like, I mean, so if I was like, oh, this is happening, like that made me really excited, but I don't know. I'm not convinced it's, this is kind of what I thought.
I mean, it's in the can.
It's in the can?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's shot.
It's in the can. It is 100% done. Like it's shot.
Yeah.
They're still doing VFX stuff, but that's fine. That's not affected by the strike stuff.
If they strung us out to like one series
but I feel like
a year,
they might want to do reshoots
wouldn't be
and
surprised.
stuff.
They're just like, no, we're just gonna do.
Based on the strike and the new James Bond villain named Bob Iger, that's probably what we're
So,
going
all
to
right,
start
this
getting.
is my weird theory: is that they were hiding it from Bob Iger, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing another one. Don't worry about it." And then it'll be like, "It's already shot.
Too late.
There's
Jude
Jude Law. It's an amazing series. Sorry, you're welcome." I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a win-win. Jude Law and Star Wars. Can't lose.
I love it. I'm very excited for it. Yeah, but I'm okay
as
too
long
with
as
them
I
pushing
get
it.
it.
I'm okay. Like it's like we're gonna need Star Wars methadone for the next few years.
I don't know, we'll see. I mean, that's going to be maybe comics. I feel dreadfully out of pace with comics, and I've been trying to keep up. But
comics, tons of books. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Are Loth Wolves on the bingo sheet?
Yep, they're on the sheet.
Could be.
They're on the sheet I looked at. Loth Wolves or Loth Cats was on the sheet that I looked at.
Well, Loth Cats.
Well, those are. I think we saw Loth Cats in the
trailer. They're definitely there.
Okay, all right.
And because we know we're getting Lothal, right? Because we've gotten the Sabine. We haven't really touched on. We've touched on Ezra. We've touched on quite a bit of Ahsoka, obviously, but we haven't talked to Hera or Sabine much at all.
I'm so excited for Hera. I wanted to get to Hera because I am actually digging Hera as a character because I love that. I love the bomber jacket. I love the World War II like aesthetic. And I'm excited to sort of pick up the Rebellion. I saw some shots of the Rebel Fleet, and you guys know Rebel Fleet theme is my favorite John Williams score of all time. I just need to be back in that.
That was the first. Sorry, go for it.
I've been wanting to get Hera back forever. Like I drafted her. We did a Star Wars draft way back when for my thing. I like give me a strong woman who basically his job is to like tell people to get their shit together, and it's just like that's the best character. Like that's her role in Rebels. Is I just love her. She's just like the mom,
and
of
she's
the entire thing.
She's the
like,
backbone, right? I mean, it's like you can't do the things they do unless you have an expert pilot. And she's like, well, do you want to live? Then I'm gonna run this mission. Let's go. And she coordinates it and then she executes it. And she's a great character, man. Hera's.
And the trailer is all like her line in the trailer, I think, is like, there's a new threat to the Republic. Like, I'm not going to lose what we fought so hard for or something. I was like, something like that. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I love that they're all sensing this new threat, this remnant Imperial threat that's sort of regrouping and mustering new forces. Like, to me, it's so cool. I can't wait to see characters grapple.
Also, fertile storytelling. The fact that like they're saying this and the new government isn't listening to them because they're just that ragtag group of rebels who are, of course, always going to look for a new threat. Right?
When you're a hammer,
she seems like she's rolling like 3 Mon Cala cruisers deep. Like it's like I don't know if you guys saw some of the shots that are like cut with Hera, and I was like, well, she like controlling a massive.
Well, we
fleet.
know from Aftermath, the Aftermath trilogy, and I want to say other ones, that she actually runs the fleet. Oh, actually, in video games,
Squadrons.
And the alphabet squadron.
Squadrons,
She's a general, and she's running a whole whole fleet.
Yeah,
she's a boss.
Yeah. She seems to be running. She seems to be moving like.
I mean, I think she's like in the New Republic. She's like a supreme general or something. She's dictating the whole thing.
I think a lot of her. Yeah, I think a lot of her role is going to be like communicating under, under the table to Sabine and Ahsoka. Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of like not being able to actually be out there and doing stuff, but really just
like in Squadrons, and in the other show that I'm forgetting, like in Alphabet Squadron, like she's running everything. Like she would never in a million years get into a starfighter and fight. Like, no, she's the point person. So I think that would be a really strong beat if that's where she's at. And then she's like, all right, I'm going to get out of here.
Well, so now you guys are making me think we need thrawn and some sort of fleet to enter the galactic stage because we have Hera running around with a fleet. And so it's like, to me.
It's our first opportunity in one of these shows to actually have a war in the stars.
I mean, maybe it'll be a minor war technically.
Or, I mean, obviously it's going to be like cloaked cruisers firing, like hit and fade, firing like turbo lasers at their cruisers and then disappearing. But and then like them being like, what do we do? Like it hit all of them, emergency amber alerts. Let's go. Yeah. And then, but Sabine, we have Sabine coming up in this. And in the trailer, you see Sabine fight, I think, Shin Hati, which is one of the villains of the series.
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen a lot.
I can't wait to watch. I love lightsaber fights, and I can't wait to see Sabine wield the lightsaber and fight.
Yeah, she knows how to do it. Yeah. I mean, so I want to talk about the elephant on the internet. Like, there's been a lot of publications being like, "Does Sabine now wield the Force?" Because I think in one of the trailers she calls Ahsoka Master. And
sure,
no, she doesn't, because Shin Hati in the recent trailer goes, "You have no power while they're fighting." I think.
Yeah,
she says that, and I think it's diegetic. I think she says it in the scene. It's not like VO or something.
Same with me. I just don't. I'm like, no, there's no like late onset force powers, and it's just like Ahsoka could be anyone's master. I mean, she's fantastic at everything, right? So it's like maybe that's the way it works, but she doesn't have the Force.
Yeah. I think Ahsoka's a monk, and it's not about whether or not you're connected to the Force, that she is willing to teach and lead anyone, right, who wants to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also think now Ezra needs to be in the story, because now that you're getting this journey with Sabine, I think the payoff is she's going to reconnect with her long lost friend. That just seems like that's where you're going to get a lot of drama. That's where the drama is going to sort of be most concentrated, I think, in sort of getting back to Ezra, finding Ezra. Finding Thrawn means finding Ezra who sacrificed everything to save them and save Ahsoka, and
which is like Sabine's, like, if you at the end of that Rebels rewatch, what kind of came through to me is that last season, it is Sabine and Ezra coming into their own and coming up with plans, and really like working on their own to come up with plans. Like when they get separated, and so Sabine feels partially responsible for Ezra's disappearance when you watch the end of Rebels. Like she was active in the planning of that against the adults' ideas, right? And so, like, we know from the end of that series, like, that is her mission. Like, she feels that deep guilt of wanting to find Ezra. So it'd be weird not to. And I think we know, but it'd be weird for that not to be the main drive of her in this entire series.
I think so too. And also, so we're an hour in. Can we get into lightsaber talk? Is this lightsaber corner?
Yeah, sure. I think that's good. I think we're in lightsaber hour.
Sure. So we see Ezra's lightsaber on in the trailers as well with Sabine, which I think is great. It's just so funny. She gave away the darksaber, and another lightsaber came to her. And but she modified it. I love Ezra's lightsaber from Rebels. I love all the lightsabers, especially Kanan Jarrus's lightsaber. It's a perfect blend of like prequel Art Deco classic design, and then a mix with like utilitarian original trilogy. It's just you know, I was lucky in Jedi Survivor to be able to like augment lightsabers almost ad nauseum in a million different ways. And I kept coming back to like Kanan Jarrus's lightsaber design. Like I just love it. It's just a classic.
Yeah.
Great. It's like a little Shoto, but it's like a little Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's great. Anywho, so she's going to have it, and she modified it, which I think is great. If you go to Galaxy's Edge right now, I think they have a deal, or actually they're selling Ezra Bridger's lightsaber, which is like they kind of rotate through specials, and that's one of the specials. But it doesn't look like the one in the show, which has this like sort of sheath over the emitter, which is kind of cool.
Right.
So she's messed with it a little bit, and it's going to evolve. And that's one of my favorite things in lightsabers, and that's Lightsaber Corner.
Thank you, Ben. I did notice that Ahsoka's form looks slightly different in some of the shots in the trailer.
Really? She wasn't using a Taru?
She wasn't doing the reverse grip with the lightsabers, and it was sort of...
right.
Oh, Ahsoka wasn't?
Yeah, right side.
I think she's evolved past lightsaber
I was going to say,
styles.
Yeah.
Like in the Clone Wars, she had one and was like reverse grip Shoto and all that. But now...
Yeah.
And even though
there's a new style. Actually, the style she's using, I think, in the trailer is, I think you can identify it's a different style, but it's, it's a cool form. It looks really cool. I love I just think it's a different form altogether. It's interesting to sort of note that it looks like she's using some kind of fun new form.
I feel like we're going to see the old form at least once, right? Because that's like her calling card. Like that look is amazing, and it may not. I mean, a part of it may not.
Yeah, the reverse grip and holding them up kind of behind you is such an interesting look. I just don't know what it looks like. I almost like would love to see what it.
Yeah, but part of it is like impractical. Whatever, it's not the best.
Yeah, what does it look like? Does it look ridiculous in the camera test, or is it cool? You know, like I don't know. I'm sure they have found out everything being in the Millennium Verse.
Yeah,
have been.
Yeah. Ahsoka's lightsabers have like gone through an amazing, like every incarnation of her lightsabers has been beautiful. The one you can never get is like the lightsabers that have been augmented by Anakin in season 7 of the Clone Wars, the like blue blade lightsabers, and she leaves those behind, I think.
Well,
right.
Yeah. Do we have another clue here that maybe we are seeing a lot of the past, because doesn't she lose one saber in Mando?
In the water, but I think she can pick it up. It's like it's in the koi pond, so it's like.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, probably salvageable, and they come out ahead in that.
And that's her like those are her Gandalf sabers, which are very Shoto like. They're like oblong and like flat, and very like neat, and those are pretty cool.
So, Grant, you're good with names. Who's the woman from that episode of Mando? The one, Lady Elizabeth. Does she make it out of that episode or not? I can't remember.
Yeah, she does, and she's in this trailer too.
No,
she's
she
in the
dies.
trailer. I think.
She dies in that fight.
She dies?
That's what I thought. So that's another reason.
Oh, that she's in the trailer though. But, okay, maybe she dies in that episode, but she's definitely
dies
in the
in that fight.
She is.
Okay, here's another clue.
So then you get the flashback. That's a flashback.
There's
that's a past. Yeah.
Right, because you feel like when you are catching up with Ahsoka and Mando, you feel like she has been hunting Thrawn for a minute.
Yeah, we might be kind of like, I wonder if the first 4 is right before that, and then we're picking her up right after that, or after her time with Luke.
The Grogu episode is a little strange though, because she seems like she's got nothing better to do than just like hang at the temple, and I'm like, okay, like are we hunting Thrawn? Like wait, where is the Boba Fett series? Like in chronological, like in the sacred timeline? Where are we?
Well, we find out we thought he was there for a while, but he was apparently there for like a week and a half. He was at like Luke's temple.
Yeah. Well, so the episode where they're together happens before she's got nothing going on, hanging out there. So when she's hunting Thrawn, and then she has nothing better to do than hang out with Luke and create a new temple.
All right, I didn't want to point that out as
no. I
just like
that was in real time. My brain putting those like two occurrences together, but that definitely happens before, and so I don't think they would mess with that timeline. I think that's real time. But maybe she's got to like confab with Luke for a minute and figure out her next move.
No, I think I hope we get to see a little bit of that as well. Again, on the bingo sheet, Ahsoka,
yeah,
and
that's a good one.
Luke,
Yeah.
like what is going on here? I feel like their ideology sort of aligns in a wonderful way, like where I think like they're almost the perfect characters to be connected. And it's so cool that they are connected now. And I think what's so fun about our podcast is we talked about years before Mando, I think, or like a year and a half before Mando revealed that, Luke and Ahsoka are connected.
Yeah.
No. I mean, no, but just I think it's just
sorry,
they're both sort of like see the errors of the sort of faiths that have arisen around the force, and they're sort of like, oh, I need to find out what the force is for myself, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the guiding principle for both of them. And I was like, that's right.
fun.
Like they are connected. In that way. Yeah.
I mean, and then of course they're connected through Anakin. And I mean,
right,
but like when they talk about Anakin together, pretty powerful stuff. I mean, that could almost be its own square. It's like Luke and Ahsoka talking about Anakin.
But Ahsoka leaving the Order, and then Luke sort of going against Yoda and Obi-Wan, being like, I'm not going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, just sort of finding it for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, if they started talking about their philosophies, that'd be amazing, because Ahsoka has such an experience. Like, she's seen the rise, like the high point of the Jedi Order and its fall, and like what better? I mean, the fact that those two have spent any time together, that's something they have to talk about, right?
Yeah. All right, villains.
Before we get there, update on, speaking of villains, of Lady El still alive.
Oh, sure.
Still alive?
Yeah, she was arrested at the end of the episode as a
exactly
Imperial sympathizer.
Man, I'm sorry, I'm so wrong.
Yeah.
That felt like a fight
right.
to death to me. Kurosawa.
It was close.
I just took I thought you had it down because I trust your
I
believe canon.
But I just want to double check.
No, don't apologize. You're right about 99% of other things. The villains. I mean, we should, sadly, the great Ray Stevenson passed recently, but just incredible actor. I think all around. Having just seen, so many movies of, RRR recently of that massive success.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, like, Punisher Warzone's huge. Volstagg in Thor. He's on Rome. He's just such a brilliant actor.
Yeah, he's had an amazing career. I mean, it's so tragic. It's going to be like a bittersweet tone, I think, through this whole series. Whenever we see him, it's just like, oh, man.
It's going to be tough. But hopefully it's, it looks like an incredible character. And Shin Hati, the character, looks
he was the character from the trailers
Yep.
I'm most interested in seeing. Like, I want to know what he's about. I'm sorry, I just said about.
I know. Yeah.
And that was a Freudian slip, because I'm like,
about.
because I think
About.
he's still my, could be the Jorah Sabaoth character. But yeah, I mean, and in the recent trailer, he says, like, I knew Anakin Skywalker or something, and is talking about Anakin to Ahsoka, right? I mean, that's going to be giant, and I mean, that's a very Sabaoth thing to do. I don't know.
No, that's very true. Yeah. I know it's so hard watching something when someone has passed away. I mean, I thought about that when watching, watching Last Jedi with Carrie Fisher, and it's just like how are they going to handle this? And then when she gets sucked out, she's like, anyway, it's horrible. But like, so similarly, and it's my own thing, but watching that series, it's going to be hard for me to turn off my brain to be like, so are they going to leave him alive? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to do the behind the scenes thought, which is
there hasn't been much chatter about it. I have a feeling he dies in the series, and it's just going to be like, ugh, like no one seems to be sweating it, and I don't know. It makes sense that the villain would die in a series, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a tough thing.
There is a fun moment in the trailer where I think Lady Elsbeth is standing with them, and they talk about joining Thrawn or something. Like, if we join Thrawn, and it's just said very quickly, and I was just in passing, and I was like, so when you say Jorah Sabaoth being sort of like a 1-for-1 with this Balin Skull character, like that might check out, given that they're talking about joining Thrawn. Like, they're not yet a part of Thrawn's new regime. Like they're their own entity.
Yes.
What does that mean? That means they're probably just dark Jedi seeking their own interests, which is probably to raise their own army of Jedi, right? Like it's like Sabaoth or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which means if they've just been kind of there watching, two Sith take over the galaxy, they've been keeping their heads down, and now that they're gone,
Right.
like they see their opportunity.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
The trades are also calling their sabers orange. Like they've been called orange in multiple different articles
please.
I've read. They're I don't know. I wouldn't say they're exactly just orange. I would say they're like blood orange or they're not exactly.
They're
red,
reddish.
but
Yeah, there's something going on.
They're
pretty
reddish. They're almost
reddish.
fiery. They're almost like a fire.
I mean, the
They're
other
pretty red.
they're pretty red. The other elephant, or not elephant, but the other possible like Octum's razor is we see her fighting Inquisitor, right? They could be
right.
Inquisitors.
Right.
Could be.
Like very
It
easily.
could be. Yeah, no, that's a great Occam's razor. Adam, that's fantastic. That makes a lot of sense because they probably wouldn't wear all the shrouds anymore. They'd probably just
to bring it
have
way back
black.
to what we started
Yeah.
talking about.
I mean,
at the beginning
actually,
of the episode.
listen, if they're actually orange lightsabers, back to lightsaber corner, there's no like real canon orange lightsabers. And they've always sort of meant like, I'm a Jedi, but I'm dark side curious, and
Right.
If they actually introduced it and they were dark, this was dark Jedi, like,
Right. Not full Sith,
Yeah.
but like,
Jedi
tapping into the
that
dark
use
side.
the dark
Yeah.
side. Like, I would love that they threw in that little subtlety, that layer, that stratification of like, there's a difference between a Jedi, a dark Jedi, and a Sith.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where they didn't actively go through the process of bleeding
Right.
their crystal, but all their actions have slowly started to
Love
corrupt
that.
the crystal.
I had an inkling something like that would be brought up on the pod because I was thinking the other day, I was like, could this be a sort of like, could Occam's razor, could they have just been Jedi who maybe were just a little bit darker than the other Jedi in the Order, and then it's almost like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. It's almost like this long descent of like the Empire took over and they've had to do shadier things to survive, and they're now just like the Empire's gone and now they're just like, not only are we going to survive, we're going to thrive by harnessing the power of the world between worlds.
Yeah, we've seen how bad it could be. We need to rule with an iron
Yeah.
fist to make sure it never goes
Sure.
there again. Yeah, maybe.
Super fun.
I love it.
Or clones, guys. Or clones. I don't know. Like clones would be fun too. I don't know.
I'm less.
I also
don't
like
think it's gonna be
Outbound
fun.
Flight. I also like that they're like marooned in the like way
mhm.
out there somewhere, and then because people are hunting for Thrawn and Ezra, that they find these Jedi, and the Jedi are dark Jedi. Like I think that's so mysterious.
Or Thrawn and Ezra find them and bring them back with them, right? And that's part of it. Like they discover Outbound Flight, or like.
I mean, that'd be fun because, like, I love the idea of Thrawn having Jedi to move around, dark Jedi to move around on the chessboard like pieces. After reading the original Thrawn trilogy, I was like, "Oh, like that's a great idea, right?" So that would like be a fun beat to bring back.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would also match with their statement about joining him or not. Like he's still manipulating them. They're not aware of it, but he's still doing thrawning.
See, that's what I'm hoping for is the reveal. Is he is manipulating these Jedi somehow? Because like you've never seen a character without the Force sort of manipulate Force users.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a true mastermind to do that.
Which is what we get in the original Zahn trilogy, right? That is a really compelling thing that we haven't seen, is a master strategist using a Force user.
A knife.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like babysitting for a Force user.
Yeah.
I was just looking at my notes again from the last book, and like all of them that I didn't talk about any of them last week, but it didn't matter. But yeah, I was just like lol, and it was just like Thrawn and Pelion having a great conversation and just getting like, blown up by Sabaoth. Like I just I mean, love it. It happens a lot.
The interruption, the Sabaoth interruption.
There's like 4 or 5 of
think
those where it's just like it's happening, and then like Sabaoth, and you're like, oh, not again, man. This guy.
Yeah,
it's like this effing guy.
Like seriously, this guy vibes. Like every time Pelion is just like, oh man, this guy again is one of my favorite. And I would love to see that emulated in this, if you get Pelion or another right hand man for Thrawn, who just every time when these Dark Jedi walks in, they're just just like you just get these looks. Like,
yeah, that and the Rook bit, I think would be like high comedy if they did it right.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's because comedy belongs
100%.
in Star Wars, right? Like it's always some of it.
Star Wars is really high opera, but there's some goofy moments in every single movie.
Like Lucas seemed to think that they could just drop in a couple of goofy droids and it would be sort of like a little comic relief.
Yeah,
but it needs it because it's like so serious all the time. It's like it needs which operas and whatever.
I was gonna say exactly relief. like operas. There's usually some type of relief, like some type of character who relieves the tension a little bit in scenes, right? I mean, it goes all the way back to Shakespearean plays, right? There's always a character who's playing a comedy role.
Now I have to say
almost always.
I mean, I feel like if these trailers mean anything, it means it feels Shakespearean to me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's gonna be epic if it's gonna be Ahsoka, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I told myself I wasn't gonna watch any of the trailers, and now I've seen them all. And because
I know
here we are.
But I will say I tend to be the same with most things. I've been mostly avoiding spoilers. I have watched most of the trailers, and I kind of said to myself I don't want to, and then I watch them, and I have to remind myself that Star Wars, Lucasfilm is really good at cutting trailers.
Yeah,
they almost never give anything away.
It's always like the first episode or the first two episodes and nothing else.
Yeah. And I think Meg made that point too last week of like, this is all probably like episode 1 and 2 and a couple of random scenes from later on in the season.
She changed my whole view on a lot of this stuff, man. I loved her comments about like how, different media like tell different stories. And it's just like, as we tell these stories, it's just like anything. And it sort of changes in the telling a little bit.
Yeah.
And it can be a little different. And I really like that a lot. I think because I think it makes sense, frankly.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's eye-opening, and it really did kind of make me feel different about Tales of a Jedi in a way that I'm like, okay, I can enjoy this without feeling like I'm betraying something else, right?
Yeah. All right, what did I forget? Anything else people want to talk about here?
I don't know. Anything else from that Reddit post? Is there anything else on any of those squares that we haven't discussed or that popped up that you were surprised about?
They had some long shots on there that I kind of loved. I think, Purgles was one of them. I think, Rex was definitely one of them. Sabine, Ezra, Hera. It was handwritten, and but it's pretty great. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of it, but I think there was nothing that was like so wild.
Well,
Zeb was one of them.
We saw.
Yeah,
Zeb we saw. Yep, Zeb we saw. So we know they have the.
They're ready to go with the
CGI.
I don't think we're going to get Zeb. I think they gave us Zeb as like a teaser.
I don't think so either.
This.
Yeah.
You don't think Zeb's gonna roll up with Hera and like?
No, I think part of it was they knew he wasn't gonna be in it, but people would ask why, and so they were able to like fit him in here. So
Chopper's gonna be there.
I guess long shots. Chopper's 100% there. Yeah. But I guess long shot. If we're talking about long shots, we talked about every crew of the Ghost except one, which is Kanan Jarrus.
He's not gonna be there.
Right?
Okay, but
I know
like
he's
that's a long shot.
Spoiler
That's a long
alert.
shot. Yeah.
But and I don't think he's going to be there. But if we're talking about long shots and things, there is a world where you could discuss, especially with Force users and Force ghosts.
Well, we didn't talk about Mon Mothma, who we do see in the trailers, and it is Genevieve O'Reilly reprising
it is
role.
Killing it.
Yeah. She is Mon Mothma now.
Yeah, she is.
With short hair.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
She is Armani.
She wears Armani. What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She wears Armani.
I'll see myself. I'll take the escape pod. It's all right.
All right. So here's a.
I mean, do you remember the Luke and Sny Snoodles joke earlier? You're fine.
You'll never top the Sny Snoodles joke.
You are fine.
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
but
okay.
I think we saw a shorter person in the co-pilot seat with Hera. Is that Jacen Syndulla?
I know Ben is on Jacen Syndulla watch right now.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to we're dealing with a Force user. We're dealing with a Force user that's in touch with Luke Skywalker, who's starting a Jedi Academy.
I know.
Yep.
This kid's almost set up
like,
to be like Jacen Solo.
It'd be weird not to have at least some mention of him, because like
that'd be wild if he turned to the dark side before the like purge of Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, that's dark. I can't make that.
They're just gonna.
I
feel like they're gonna retcon all this and say there were like two Jedi. There are two Jedi training facilities. One run by one run by Luke and one run by Ahsoka, and that's why that's where Grogu is and Jacen Syndulla and all these other.
That's the wildest
Jedi.
thing anyone said tonight, which is
that's a good.
What you'd expect from like an hour and a half in. What if?
Yeah, that's where Cal Kestis is. Like, it's all good.
Oh my gosh, dude! If we saw like the other end of the like underground railroad path of the Jedi, that would be so fun. And like all the people that come out of that.
Yeah.
But all right. So if there is Jacen Syndulla, what if his father
why are you
visits
presupposing
him?
he's a Jedi?
What if his father visits him as a Force ghost?
Oh,
that's your way in, right?
Dude, can you imagine like Caleb Doom, aka Kanan Jarrus, like doing a Force ghost?
It's just Freddie Prinze Jr. with like a ponytail.
You could do him
and a soul patch
if you want to. Yeah, soul patch. But if you also wanted to like hide, I mean, he definitely could pull it off. He looks like him enough with the de-aging. But you could also just give him the Temple Guard helmet if you wanted to hide it a little more.
He shows up as a Temple Guard, but it's Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice. I don't know, but I think that would be a really powerful moment. I mean, like, I never got to meet my child, but I can because Star Wars, and it's awesome.
But you could just also do the whole cliche thing of like he recorded hollow messages for his kid, right?
Yeah.
So you could do the hollow message route, which they are doing with Ezra, it seems like, but you could, yeah,
that could be that could definitely work because I feel like you need training to like see a Force ghost or whatever.
Yeah, I feel weird if he just like I figured it out, and I'm like, wait, what? Like it took Obi-Wan forever on Tatooine.
Right. I'm just saying we're way far out there, so we're there.
Oh yeah, this is.
Guys, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call that a podcast.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
I think that's a podcast. And we only have a few more days to wait until like possibilities are closed and opened.
Oof.
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be so fun. I can't believe I get to have that experience again, where it's like usually I get home from work. And it's like super late. Mm-hmm. My wife's in bed. Everything's on. And I just like have a Star War in front of me. Yeah. And I can just like put on a Star War and snuggle my chihuahua and just like sit on the couch and just like go there, you know? Oh.
I know. And Wednesdays are like, I'm home. I work at home on Wednesdays. So I'm just sitting there all day going, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Just wait. And then like, then you got to do like bedtime and dinner. And I'm just like, can it be done now? Because we can watch this. So it's just,
that's fun.
It's going to be a long day.
I always have practices on Wednesday. So like I get home at like 11:30 from practice. But like, that's a great time to watch a Star Wars.
Yeah. And Ben on the text chain, so I was like, radio silence. We always have to be like, have you seen it? No. All of us have to be like, the text is very funny on those days because it's like, seen it, and we wait for the third seen it, and then finally we can
Grant sounds a cryptic like, oh hey.
Grant will have watched it. I will wake up. We will all wake up on Wednesday morning to Grant's text of, I've seen it. Like it's every Wednesday. Grant would text us at 6 a.m. I've seen it.
What it is? I have no idea what it is. I just have to inject it in my veins.
Good
for you, man.
All right, that's it. We're out, kids. Really fun week. We will talk to you again next week. On why can't I hear it?
Cantina Chronicles.
Oh, weird. It was muted here.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I was just about to say that was a great week of programming. We'll talk to you next week talking about the first episode of Ahsoka because it's super on
Cantina Chronicles.